Hello everyone. Welcome to You in Sports podcast. Once a sports person, always is a sports person. We are very excited to bring this first podcast in front of you, and the occasion was really Women's Day. Obviously, Women's Day is already past, but we really believe that every day is a Women's Day. And on this occasion, we have very talented Erin Smibert with us, and we wanted to introduce Erin Smibert to all of you. It is fascinating story when I came to know about Erin and what she did in Taekwondo, and we really think that you should hear this, and it is an inspiration in itself. So thank you, Erin. Thank you so much
You're
for
welcome.
accepting and coming here. So, Erin, maybe you can brief about yourself, and we can go through those lifespan your journey one by one.
Yeah, so I started Taekwondo when I think I was in grade four, and it was a friend of mine, her dad owned a Taekwondo school at the time, so it just seemed like a fun activity. And then they ended up moving away, but we continued at a different school. And, it was just, I tried a lot of different sports when I was a kid, and Taekwondo was the only thing that really stuck. Definitely went through some adversity. I had some times as a kid where I said, hey, I want to quit Taekwondo. I don't want to go anymore. But my parents got in their head that they really wanted my sister and I to get our black belts so we'd be able to defend ourselves. So they pushed us and pushed us. And then while I was in training for my black belt, I started sparring, which is like the sport aspect of Taekwondo. It's an Olympic sport. And I got really interested in sparring. So when I got my black belt, I started going to tournaments. And, like the thing that everyone in Canada was aiming for at the time was becoming a national champion. And in my last year in fighting, I was provincial champion many times, but in my last year fighting provincial nationals, I got a silver medal. However, the gold medalist bowed out, so I was able to actually join the Canadian national team for the first time and travel to, I think that was in Brazil for the Junior Pan Am Championships. So that was a big deal for me. I've never been to Brazil before, and a great experience. And then after that, I ended up getting a hernia, and I had to take some time off and have a hernia surgery. And I was started training again, and at this point I was like late in my teens, and my mother was like thinking I was training too much now, so now she was saying, hey, I think you should quit Taekwondo and focus on school. uh, so like there were senior nationals coming up in BC, and my mom said, if you don't win this one, I think you should quit. And I went and I won.
Wow, that's
So I'm my
amazing.
first senior national champion. And that meant right away like going to training camp in Korea for 2 weeks with the team, and then going to world championships in Spain. And then I was on the team again after that one more time for won gold again, and went to Pan American Championships again in Argentina. So really had an interesting run. It was, kept me out of a lot of trouble in my teenage years because I was focused on training and traveling and, going all over the province, all over the country, all over the states, like, US Open, Las Vegas Opens, things like that. And I think it kept me out of a lot of trouble because at the time I grew up in a small town, a lot of the kids were really into drugs and drinking, and it just kept me kind of on a better path. And then I ended up kind of retiring from Taekwondo because when I was in my early 20s, I didn't see myself as wanting to be a school owner or a coach. I ended up going into the car business, which is what I did for the past about 15 years. And then after working for many other people, developing a great career specifically in the financing side of the car business, I said, I'm ready to own my own business now, and what do I know about is cars and Taekwondo. So I thought, Taekwondo can't be that hard, and I always still had that passion for it, and I always kind of wondered what would have happened if I'd stuck with it. So I reached out to a friend of mine, Grandmaster Tommy Chang, who I've stayed in touch with a bit throughout the years, and he's known to be an excellent business owner in Taekwondo. He has many locations. The Black Belt World franchise has been in business for over 25 years. So I said, I want to have something that's bigger than me, that is replicatable, that doesn't require me to be there all day, every day. And he has a fantastic curriculum, a fantastic process, and everything from the paint colors to the mats, the mirrors, everything, the signage. He had someone for, so it's like, really no room for error in making the place look amazing. And we opened up in June of last year, and now we're just under 200 students. So it's been very successful, and I've been very, very lucky with the team that I've been able to put together of instructors. They're lovely people. They're very passionate about Taekwondo, and then my mission of improving our students' lives through Taekwondo.
And I can second on that. Means we will certainly touch base on that, but the kind of things, it is a personal touch which you have, not only with the teachers or coaches, but the students. And we know that there are quite a few students who are not, basically they are struggling, but then the kind of environment which you provide, we will certainly talk about that. But let's go back again, that 4 years old Erin, and that's where this journey started, right? So what was that? What was the triggering factor? Because 4 years is an age where
Well, I was in grade 4.
Oh, you were in a grade 4, not
Grade
the 4
4,
years
yeah,
old.
yeah.
Sorry for that.
That's
So
okay.
then you started liking it, or you saw something, and then how
No, it
did
was
that-
my best friend at school. Her dad owned a taekwondo school. He was
Okay.
a taekwondo teacher. So I said I want to go do taekwondo with my friend. So that's really how it started.
just as a playing activity that
Yeah, and my parents were, when we were younger, we did all sorts of different sports. We did swimming, we did horseback riding, we did, all sorts of different things. So when we wanted to try an activity, they would say, okay, we'll sign you up for a year, and after a year, we'll see if you want to continue. And Taekwondo was just the one thing that stuck.
That's stuck.
Yeah.
So it's basically that frequency got matched with the Taekwondo. And then certainly you gone through different coaches, different institutions. How really does that happen? Because it's still the long journey, right? And sometimes we don't know. And you mentioned that you are from a countryside, so not too much access to the coaching and institutions. So how really these things unfolded?
Yeah, so the first coach I had, unfortunately, he had to shut down his school and move out to the city for personal reasons. So I ended up at a different school that I would trained at for many years. And unfortunately, the coach there, I was in a bad kind of family situation with my parents divorcing, and
Sorry
I
for
think
that.
I think he took advantage of that, and unfortunately kind of preyed on me as a young woman.
That's fine.
And it's like there's actually right now it's in the court system that finally kind of come forward with it, but I ended up getting out of that situation, and really there was no competitive schools in the Kitchener-Waterloo area, so I moved to Toronto, and I was training with a coach in Toronto, and then that kind of went sideways.
But how you really coped up with, because it must have took that mental stress on you, right?
Oh yeah,
And
oh
then
yeah, like
coming out from that situation, and
I faced a lot of trauma in my time in Taekwondo, like a lot of good things. I think it made me stronger as a person, but also a lot of trauma, like with sexual abuse, physical abuse, and a lot of reasons that actually made it very hard to come back. And Grandmaster Tommy Chang, told me, you can keep running, but you can't run forever. And he said, if you want to come back and face these things and be part of the difference. So that's what I've been trying to do, and try to provide a safe school for students.
and I think that is very important. Means
Yeah.
mainly for the female athletes. It's really sad that the situation unfolds like this, but I think irrespective of male and female, they deserve the kind of environment they deserve, because at the end of the day, it's not, it disturbs it is a life, a precious life, which is at stake.
Yeah, like it's very traumatizing to go through, you know, what I went through, and you know, it's part of the reason I retired from Taekwondo is because you know, of all of the trauma I went through, and I just had a lot of negative memories in Taekwondo. But you know, I love this sport.
And hats off to you, hats off to courage, and I think definitely there must be a support from the family because
Yeah, well, yeah, my mom, like my extended family, they all like really encouraged me to, you know, they thought me at this point in my life, you know, having now in my automotive career been many years as a manager and developing teams and building businesses for other people, you know, I had the skill set to do it for myself. So everyone in my family believed in me, and they knew that, you know, I was great at Taekwondo. I loved Taekwondo, um, and that they were all encouraging for me to come back. And now, you know, when I share with them some of the success stories I've seen with some of the students already in such a short amount of time, like, you know, it's kind of funny because when I opened this school, I was really just thinking about myself, about thinking, you know, I want to be my own business owner, I want to be my own boss, but I feel like it's become so much bigger than me. I feel like it's become more like I'm providing a service to the
and
community.
you are definitely doing that.
And that's what brings me true joy, honestly. When I go to the school, especially the belt testing, and I see, you know, the development, I see the student that, you know, 2 months ago was not using his voice, now being the loudest student,
Exactly.
or someone that was having anxiety, you know, being able to go through the belt testing, and when I see like the positive changes, and it's really, you know, I think my influence on my team, and that my team executing and creating this safe, encouraging environment, and it's just a perfect storm of, you know, just I think something we really positive that we built.
Yeah, I would say it's your personality, your leadership certainly reflects on that. And just wanted to give an idea to audience that my kids, my daughter and son, they go to Erin's Institute Academy, and we see the kind of change which she's making, not in terms of the healthy kids, but there are special kids who need special care, and your institute, or especially you are also doing that, all the coaches are doing that, they are certainly making that difference. But again, sorry, again going back, so we you came back to Toronto for to have better access to the coaches and academies, I suppose. And then again the journey started. Means obviously overcoming that sort of trauma is difficult, but still you did that. And again, hats off to you. uh, and then from there, uh, is that like you're still I think you haven't played province by that time, or you started playing province when you came to Toronto?
I was always national champion when I came to Toronto.
Okay.
So yeah.
So you already played national before you came to Toronto. And what happened after that?
The coach in Toronto, I was an adult at the time. I believe 19, but he was much older and kind of like wanted to date me, and I realized he already had another girlfriend, and it turned really messy. Unfortunately, there was some domestic violence, and I ended up. So that's part of why I just, you know, I ran out of coaches. I had back to back 2 terrible experiences with coaches.
Sorry to hear that.
You know, taking advantage of me. So I just I kind of gave up. And there's some really good people out there that I'm still friends with, some like really awesome coaches, but unfortunately, you know, there's also a track record in the sport of some terrible coaches that have done terrible things. A lot of them that I personally know.
That is the thing. It's not like everything is bad, but there are few, and it's basically the picture. And then
it's all sports. It's not just Taekwondo.
Exactly.
All sports.
It's all sports.
And it's that power dynamic that, you know, unfortunately, that, you know, any situation, you know, teachers, you know, priests, even like any situation where someone has that power dynamic, even parents over a child, that unfortunately there can be abuse that occurs, and you know, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. It's just part of.
It is life. Unfortunate, but again, it is what is at stake is that precious life, and then who suffers is that person who is really going through that.
Yeah, so I want to, you know, try to make the Taekwondo school a safe space. You know, it occurs to me that, you know, with almost 200 students, we might have children that are facing abuse at home,
Mm-hmm.
and I want them to, be able to come and feel safe and learn to stand up for themselves, and hopefully, learn to speak up about that abuse. And hopefully we can help some kids,
Yeah.
and just prevent them from
Definitely,
getting
definitely.
in bad
That
situations.
bring out, don't hide it. Come
Mm-hmm.
forward, talk to it about it, and then there is a support system which is in place, which can basically help
Mm-hmm.
them to come out of it. Yeah. But again, you so from playing as a kid to representing nation, how was that experience? Because obviously that must be something every sports person dream about, like
Yeah.
representing the nation, right?
It's kind of funny because, like, when you're an underdog and no one expects you to win, and the goal is to win,
Mm-hmm.
and then once you win, then it's like a different type of pressure. Then it's
That's
like
right.
continue to win and stay on top. And I would say it's almost more fun, like, when you're the underdog.
Nobody's expecting anything,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
okay, all of a sudden you win.
And then you win, and then everyone's expecting you to keep winning. So it's kind of changes, but I mean, there's a ton of things I would have done differently for sure, but it was a good experience. I was really proud to represent Canada, and it was really, stay in touch with a lot of people that I was on the team with, some really amazing people and connections I made through the years, and it was definitely something I'm really, really proud of.
And how was really your process to approach towards the major events?
Mm-hmm.
Like, because I think the results follows, but the process is the most important thing, right?
Just training as much as I could train, and that was 6-7 days a week. I mean, funding is an issue. I was Olympic carded, but I still was only getting $800 a month. So
Wow.
you imagine living in Toronto, even 20 years ago, that's not a lot of money. So I had to work part time on top of training. So it was tough. It was tough to go internationally and be competitive against countries where a lot of countries, the national team is like funded to live in the training center. They train full time. So I was definitely, we're at a disadvantage in Canada.
So is it like
not having the
that
funding.
time, or this things
Still,
are changed now?
No,
or
it's
it is
worse
still
now.
Okay.
It's worse now. Now they don't even fund the national team to go. They
But
expect
is it fair really? Because a sports person, when that athlete is representing nation, right?
Mhm.
So who is getting a name? It's the nation
No,
first gets a name.
it's sports in general in Canada is severely underfunded. It's a big problem. Olympic carded athletes aren't getting paid enough to train full time in Canada in most sports. It's a really big problem.
But then
actually.
how we expect that we need to have more players?
How do you expect the
representing?
results?
Yeah, exactly.
And yeah, like the numbers of competitors going to the national level has been dwindling in Taekwondo, and I'm sure in other sports as well. Because what's the point? Because like to fund an Olympic dream, like it costs a lot of money.
It is. Even I can sense, like, my two kids, when they go only for the classes, right? I forget about representing even city or province, but it costs so much money, and we can't fake it, right? It's tough. But then, like, there was no other support system. Like, you have to work and manage all the expenses.
Yeah, so like the few Olympians that we have had in Canada, like Skyway Park, for example, right now, who's going to the Olympics for sure. Like she lives at home with her dad and her two brothers, and her dad owns Taekwondo school, and they just get to train full time. So she's in a good situation. Like a lot of our Olympians in the past have been in similar situations where they have the support, with the family or whatever, that they don't have to work, and good for them. But unfortunately, it's
But everyone is not privileged like that.
No, it's true. It's unfortunate.
It is a
Even
sad reality.
all sports in Canada, even hockey, like it's very expensive to.
And it is not only Canada. I think it's a globally like this. That
even not in a lot of countries. A lot of countries really fund their athletes actually. Like they have Olympic training centers. The athletes go and like live there and train there full time. it's in a lot of countries. So
Yeah.
I think considering Canada is like a first world country, we're really behind on our athletic funding.
I really hope that things would change, not
Mm-hmm.
only here but wherever the countries like this, they want that their country's name needs to come forward. They need to invest. So it's as
Yes.
simple as that.
Yes. I think athletics are very important. I think it teaches good skills, and I think that the for the Olympics to continue to have the prestige that it does has to be competitive and
Mm-hmm.
has to draw the best of the best. And if there's dwindling interest and dwindling numbers, I mean, it's not going to be sustainable.
Okay. And another thing is which I wanted to ask you is in terms of visibility when it comes to the tournaments or the kind of a knowledge that athletes needs to have
Mm-hmm.
before achieving those stage. Is that something which you face that it is available readily or you need to dig it? Like,
No. It's all very visible. Like for as far as like Olympics, for example, like in Taekwondo, they have global rankings.
mm-hmm.
That you get points at international tournaments, and the top three automatically go to the Olympics, and then the Olympic people they're selected from each country get to go to qualifiers. So it's all very like it's very, I think it's fair, and it's straightforward. I would say there was an issue in Canada this year where someone they did the Olympic selection tournament, and in my opinion, the person they shouldn't have sent as the Olympic qualified person, because they could only send two females. One is Skylar, who already qualified, and a good friend of mine, his athlete beat the girl in her division who's ranked number 10 in the world, and she beat her for the Canadian spot, and she didn't get selected to go to the Olympic qualifier. The girl that got selected was in another weight division who's ranked much lower, so a little bit politics.
Little bit politics, and I think that is another problem, which is again not only in Canada but most of the countries. This complete ecosystem is too much bureaucratic, and it again causes problem to the athletes who are basically, because athletes put their life behind this, and then because of bureaucracy and all that thing, they suffer.
Yes.
So it's sad reality, and hopefully that needs to change.
Yes.
So we talked about national, and then you started representing international, right? So that switch, again, a different kind of experience, right? Like going from our home to another home and seeing different reality. How was that experience?
It was overwhelming because it's much larger tournaments, massive scales, and I was the tallest. I fought welterweight back then, under 67 kilos. I was one of the tallest in my division in Canada, and I went to Worlds, and I felt like a tiny person. Yeah. So it was definitely like it was an experience, but it was a lot of fun. And
yes.
To see the high level performances in person was really cool. Yeah.
So that must have improved you a lot, not in terms of Taekwondo, but in terms of a person as well, because the exposure is really now from Canada to other, and these are beautiful countries which you visited. I think Brazil, Spain, and what else?
Argentina.
Yeah. And then you came back, and then you stopped playing. That's what happened, right? And then you just went into your shell, like. So you must be missing Taekwondo at that time, because I think once a sports person, it's always a sports person. You cannot take the sports out of a person, right?
Yeah, I missed it for a long time, but I didn't see a future for myself. Like being winning nationals I could do, but I didn't see a future for myself internationally because I didn't have the resources to train full time, and or a coach that I like I didn't have a coach. So it is what it is. That was just what I was going through at the time, and it led me to having an interesting career in the automotive business, which I learned a lot from. So I think that, definitely things happen for a reason. And I think
Certainly.
that, everything I learned in automotive about building businesses and managing people has really helped me to make my Taekwondo school now succeed.
Right. But then the experience which you got in Taekwondo and now the switch you did,
Mm-hmm.
is that like a direct or indirect help which you got from the Taekwondo in the financial in the company which you started?
Yes, it all like fed on each other. So my my discipline and my passion that I put into Taekwondo, when I put that into the automotive business, I succeeded all the time, and I was always very driven, like as an athlete and as in my professional life. So, I always succeeded, and I was always able to um, just build teams and build businesses and drive success for myself and my employees and employers. So it just got to a time where I took a very corporate job, thinking that maybe I'm going to try corporate life now, and I hated it.
Everybody hates it.
Yeah.
But still everybody does it.
But and then I said, you know what? No, I want out. And now, yeah, like I said, the Taekwondo school originally was just on a whim. It was like I just want my own business, but it's just turned into something that's much bigger than me. And I feel now like all the joy in my life is derived from like the success stories I'm seeing from my students. And
That's right.
I love going there and watching the students and talking to the parents, and the parents telling me, the positive changes they're seeing in their kid, and even outside of Taekwondo. And that's what drives me now, and that's what makes me happy.
Happy. That's the most important thing. That
Yeah.
whatever we do, we should be happy. But then you again switched back to Taekwondo, but in a different role.
Mm-hmm.
And how does that really happen? Because certainly, based on the experiences and all that, it needs that again we need to be in a good space to start something again.
Mm-hmm.
So who really drove you there, or it's just a passion which you have?
I mean, I was in a good place in my life to like go out and take a risk.
Mm-hmm.
I recently got engaged. I've been with my fiance now. Thank you.
Both of you.
We've been together for 5 years, and just the best relationship I've ever been in, and we've really supported each other and going after our passions and elevating our lives. And I also gave up drinking. Unfortunately, I was a heavy drinker for a long time, and I feel like that was holding me back, and I could have been more successful without alcohol. So I gave up drinking, and then just over a year ago, and then it was a perfect storm of getting sick of corporate life and becoming sober and having a very secure home life where I felt like I can take a big risk. And Grandmaster Chang has just been a great mentor and a great guide, and nothing but supportive of me, and a wonderful business partner. And I'm grateful because all the schools now he owns, and he let me purchase a franchise, which is, so I'm the owner, but I have all of his support and his curriculum and his guidance. And he picked the location in Kitchener, which has just turned into be a fantastic location.
Absolutely.
So I just, I'm always going to be grateful for Grandmaster Chang. And I think the opportunities are endless. Like even in our own location, we have a whole basement we're not utilizing. We can get into. We're promoting our summer camps now, and then eventually probably get into after school programs. So there's a lot of growth we can do in our own location. And then the sky's the limit. Kitchener, Waterloo, Guelph, Cambridge. There's tons of opportunity if we want to expand. So I think we'll just focus on maximizing the school we have now and kind of go from there. But I'd eventually love to build up whether my own instructors or students now that become black belts in a few years and they want their own school. I would love to help them like I've done it now, so I need to do it for me again. But like I would love to, now
I think the good
help
part is
someone
that you
else.
have your experience, right?
Yeah.
And whatever that good, bad, definitely you're trying to avoid others athletes to get that bad experience. And I can see that change which you are bringing in your institute. And I'm really happy for you that the space in which you are right now, and definitely wish you more success. But do you want to say anything to those uh, who really supported you in those situations? By do you want to take opportunity to say anything to them?
Grandmaster Chang, I love you. He knows. I'm so like, he changed my life, and I'm gonna be forever loyal to him, forever loyal to Black Belt World, and anything he asks, I do, and he's I'm his big fan, and just so grateful that he allowed me to open a Black Belt World location. Yeah, and my staff, because they're the ones that are doing it every day, like I definitely give them the guidance. The mission statement is clear that, and it comes from Master Chang, that we're not just trying to build champions, we're trying to build champions of life.
That's right.
And that's a mission statement from Master Chang. Then it goes down to me, it goes down to my staff. And my staff and I communicate very well. If there's a certain student struggling or someone that has, some confidence or anxiety or behavioral issue, like we communicate, we work, together with them. And, I'm so blessed to have the team that I do.
And I think they would be saying the same thing, that they are very blessed to have you as their leader.
I hope so.
And we will conclude with one thing, which basically, do you want to say anything to young athletes, especially females, based on your experience and what they need to focus on, or anything for them to encourage them?
Well, I would say for young females, it's just about, if you're finding yourself in a situation, with a coach that's, being inappropriate or grooming or any sort of sexual anything, like you just have to say something and stand up for yourself, because, unfortunately it happens a lot where, coaches promise the world to these young athletes and they look up to them so much, especially in Taekwondo. It's a lot about respect the masters. And, just go tell your parents, go tell somebody, that's not appropriate. There's 100,000, like there's so many other coaches out there, they can help you, and, just get out of that situation, because it's not healthy, and it's not your fault. A lot of, victims, feel like they're partly responsible, and they're partly, they're like complicit in it in some way, and that they did it to themselves, and they maybe attracted that kind of attention, but that's not the case at all. And it's really, if someone is doing something inappropriate, like you just need to stand up for yourself, get out of that situation. And it's nothing good will come of it. And it's something that's you need to get help with. And
right. And
don't blame yourself.
that is very important.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Don't blame yourself. Mm-hmm. So with that, we are going to conclude this podcast, and thank you, Erin. Thank you for coming here. We are really grateful to have you in our first podcast of You in Sports. Once a sports person, always is a sports person. And we hope you must have liked it. And if you wanted to see such episodes, please suggest us what you wanted to see. And once again, thank you so much for joining us on You in Sports podcast. Once a sports person, always is a sports person. Thank you.